One of the most integral components of being a successful educator is the curriculum planning process and instruction. Educators use multiple types of assessment to make informed decisions about curriculum content, instructional strategies, and resources that will support the growth of students with gifts and talents. In order to create advanced curricula, an educator uses standards, local, state, or national, to expand and align with the curricula and instructional plans. They also use the scope and sequence of the disciplines to develop lessons. They understand that all subjects have structures that reveal the ways their core ideas are connected with one another. Also, when planning a lesson, educators need to be aware of the different instructional strategies that are appropriate for their classroom and content. Inquiry learning is one example of an instructional strategy that engages students by posing problems, questions, and scenarios instead of simply presenting facts. The Common Core State Standards on the left are an example of the standards that were used in a 5th grade geometry math unit. The standards are aligned with the curriculum, and they were both used in the creation of an instructional plan. The link Tools for Inquiry is a website that provides a list of instructional strategies that can be used in the classroom. It is a link that I have used when planning a lesson. Educators organize their knowledge of concepts, structures of disciplines, and tools of inquiry to create lessons that integrate cross-disciplinary skills and develop meaningful learning progressions. Picture 1 shows an example of a cross-disciplinary lesson. The math lesson integrated writing by creating a movie about how to divide fractions. Other examples of cross-disciplinary lessons are teaching measurement skills to complete a sewing project, or teaching about the splitting of an atom in science by integrating historical content related to World War II and the atomic bomb. Let's also not forget that educators can integrate culturally relevant curriculum that deeply explores cultures, languages, and social issues related to diversity in other subjects. This helps create culturally relevant curriculum and culturally relevant environments. Picture 2 represents the learning progressions in a nonfiction reading lesson. The visual allows students to see the actual steps they can take in order to achieve and improve in their reading. Learning progressions list the steps needed to master the skill or material, and because each student comes in with different knowledge, low or advanced, it is important that educators plan the learning progressions necessary to master the material. When designing curriculum, it's important to create learning and performance modifications that enhance creativity, acceleration, depth, and complexity. The two pictures on this slide represent the advancement of geometry, perimeter, and area skills with project-based learning assignment, Tiny House. Students are able to enhance their creativity by designing their house, work at their own pace, and apply their skills to a real-world situation. In order to create a successful house, they need to be able to use their perimeter, area, and geometry skills efficiently. It's also important to keep in mind that educators will adapt, modify, or replace the core or standard curriculum to meet the needs of students with gifts and talents, and those with special needs such as twice exceptional, highly gifted, and English language learners. The assignment presented on this slide can be used after a student has mastered the material, or for advancement, a student that already mastered the material prior to the lesson. Educators use a balanced assessment system, including pre-assessment and formative assessment, to identify students' needs, develop differentiated education plans, and adjust plans based on continual progress monitoring. In some cases, pre-assessments will inform the educator that acceleration or compact learning is appropriate. Once an educator pre-assessed students' prior knowledge, they select, adapt, and use a repertoire of instructional strategies and materials that differentiate for students with gifts and talents and that respond to diversity. Educators use school and community resources to help support differentiation. They also provide opportunities for students with gifts and talents to explore, develop, or research their areas of interest and talents. Some strategies include critical thinking, creative strategies, problem solving, and inquiry models to meet all of the diverse needs. Picture 1 is a pre-assessment that was used in a 5th grade math class. The pre-assessment was used to determine the student's prior knowledge regarding polygons. The results from the pre-assessment were then used to create different tiers for students based on prior knowledge, areas of strength, and areas of weakness. In each tier, students work on level with activities that reflect their learning styles and interests. Also included in Picture 2 is a formative assessment that is used at the end of each lesson. An exit ticket requires students to answer a question based on topics that were learned. This information will then be used to adapt and modify and accommodate future lessons with students' needs. Gifted and talented students are diverse in their abilities. They have different ranges in knowledge, performance, interests, experiences, and backgrounds. This makes understanding their diverse needs and abilities very important when planning curriculum. Educators must modify the general or specialized curriculum appropriately. Modifying the curriculum will vary depending on the class, the student interest, and performance levels. But some examples of ways to modify are including higher level thinking in the curriculum. Now, to ensure higher level thinking, some assistive technologies might be necessary to ensure that students aren't hindered in attaining higher level thinking. Another way is including leadership, aesthetic, or effective goals that are challenging for students to improve in specific areas. You can also include career exploration experiences. This allows gifted and talented students to learn about their passions, learn about future careers, and this can be done through biography studies, speakers, or mentors. Lastly, it's important to allow students to show mastery in an area that they have many strengths. So it's important to have options for how they can present their information and their mastery of the skill or lesson. The website link on the left is a website that I use to ensure that I am providing higher order thinking questions. It has examples and it provides writing prompts to ensure that it is a higher order thinking question. The photo on the right is an example of a modification made in the classroom. Students were to read the novel, Blood on the River, and then show that they understood it. They were provided 4 different options to show that they mastered the material.